my name is Ghazaleh Soleimani. I'm a second-year postdoc in the Department of Psychiatry, working with Hamad Ektiari and Dr. Kelvin Lee. In the next 10 minutes, I'd be going to talk about what we have done so far and what we can do in future based on our collaboration. As Hamad mentioned, Intom published a paper in 2019 and reported that by the end of 2018, we have around 86 published papers that use TS or TMS in addiction medicine. Now, 5 years later, we updated this systematic review, and we know that by the end of 2023, we have 207 published papers that used one of these technologies in the field of addiction medicine. But when we checked our review, we realized that we have different levels of variations in previous studies that use TS or TMS for addiction medicine. For example, in terms of participants, we have around 6,000 participants with SUD that received at least one active stimulation session. These participants, including both male and female, were in different treatment status, from active users to participants in detoxification phase. The most studied types of substance use disorders were nicotine, followed by alcohol and methamphetamine, but we also have some other types of substance use disorders that people received active TS or TMS. We also have variations at outcome measure levels. People reported different outcome measures for the efficacy of TS and TMS. Two of the most reported outcome measures were craving and consumption. Some of the studies reported significant effects for the application of TS and TMS for craving and consumption, and some of them reported no significant changes. We moved forward and considered these two outcome measures, and we applied a meta-analysis. To the best of our knowledge, this is one of the largest meta-analyses in the field, and we realized that both TS and TMS have small to medium effect sizes on both craving and consumption. But when we wanted to make a conclusion from this meta-analysis, we realized that we also have a huge variations in terms of experiment designs. For example, in this figure, you can see that different parts of the brain were targeted in previous studies using different types of stimulation protocols. And it seems that there is no specific consensus about target selection or the best type of stimulation that can have the most significant effects. And when we wanted to categorize the stimulation based on their effects, we found that we have some significant results for some of the stimulation protocols. For example, high-frequency RTMS over left DLPFC or ITBS over left DLPFC. But we also have many other types of stimulation that reported significant results, but we don't have enough evidence for those protocols. We also have similar findings in transcranial electrical stimulation. For example, we have strong effects for bilateral DLPFC stimulation, but we also have many other types of stimulation protocols that used in the field of addiction medicine, but we don't have enough evidence for those protocols. For example, in our meta-analysis, we have 26 different electrode montages in the field of addiction medicine, and these protocols use different electrode locations, electrode size, stimulation intensity, number of sessions, and stimulation duration. And all of these parameters can affect the received stimulation dose for each participant. And if we create computational head model, we can see the effects of these parameters on received stimulation dose for each participant. So we moved forward and we tried to find a relationship between effect sizes that reported in previous studies and electric field distribution patterns inside the brain. Based on the collaboration with Dr. Alex Opitz, we put together 400 T1 weighted structural MRI for 400 participants with different types of substance use disorders. And based on 26 different electrode montages that we found in our meta-analysis, we created computational head models for all participants. And it means that we simulated electric fields for more than 8,000 computational head models. So we tried to find the relationship between electric field distribution patterns and HSG values that reported in previous studies. And we found a significant correlation over the left dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. It means that in previous studies, left DLPFC played the most important role based on previous effect sizes that reported in previous publications. And when we considered a subgroup of electrode montages in the field, for example, 13 electrode montages which were used for alcohol use disorders, we found a second brain region over medial prefrontal cortex that showed significant correlation between electric field and HSG values. So it means that although we have more than 80% of previous papers targeted DLPFC, we might have some other brain regions that play an important role in the field of neuromodulation and addiction. For example, we have 21 trials that targeted medial prefrontal cortex and reported significant results in the field of addiction. So in collaboration with three different and independent labs, we try to put together different functional neuroimaging findings to provide some evidence for medial prefrontal cortex, and we found that the frontopolar area showed an important role based on fMRI drug curie activity task and lesion-based studies, and also based on electric field distribution patterns in previous, based on, for example, H7 coil that showed significant results in the field of nicotine cessation, and also some bilateral DLPFC stimulation. And we think that, as other people in the field mentioned, if we want to move forward from correlation-based or evidence-based studies in the field, if we want to move forward and provide some more mechanistic effects in the field, we need some mechanistic data, such as fMRI data. And in order to provide an opportunity to share the data based on fMRI data that people collected in different labs, in collaboration between Hamed, Hugh Garavan, and Anna Silverstone, they tried to provide an opportunity to start a collaboration between different labs who are active in the field of addiction and also collect fMRI data. They have a subdivision in Enigma Consortium right now, which is named Enigma ACRI, and they started a collaboration between different labs who are active in the field of fMRI and addiction, and they published papers so far. And they provided these opportunities to ask people to share their fMRI data in the field of addiction. And I think that we have more than 14 active labs in the world that shared their databases so far. And we also conducted another systematic review, and we found that we have about 200 published papers in the field of addiction that applied a kind of intervention, including neuromodulation, and reported fMRI data as an outcome measure. And in the next step, they tried to provide another opportunity, which is named fMRI Outcome Measure Initiative, and try to ask people to share their fMRI data in those trials that considered a kind of intervention for people with substance use disorder. One of them could be those trials that applied brain stimulation. And we know that we have about 20 trials that applied stimulation and considered fMRI data as an outcome measure. We think that it's time to have collaboration with each other and put data together to move forward from correlation-based or evidence-based studies and apply some new analyses, such as causality analysis, which was mentioned by Dr. Lim, or brain state analysis, which was mentioned by Dr. Colin Hanlon. And I think we have one valuable sample in the field, a database which was shared by Dr. Eduardo. I'm not sure if he's here or not. They shared their databases based on a multi-session TMS trial, and fMRI data was collected in different time points. They raw data, they analyzed data, everything is publicly available now. And if we want to move forward, we need more collaborations with each other, and we can share our fMRI data to run more evidence-based and more causal-based analysis. And if I want to make a conclusion, I just wanted to say that INTOM is a kind of collaborative network. We are trying to collaborate with each other to move forward in the field of non-invasive brain stimulation for substance use disorders. And the next step could be collaboration based on data sharing. And we are interested in the field of fMRI data, and we think that if we can collaborate with each other to share fMRI data in transcranial electrical or magnetic stimulation trials, we can collaborate with Enigma ACRI Consortium and the subdivision of FOMI to share our databases. And thank you so much for your attention.